Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. We're here with Aryan Dwarshuis talking about his global big year and his book, The Big Year That Flew By. And so Aryan saw 6,852 species in a single year in 40 different countries. So obviously an incredible feat, and we're super excited to be talking to him. In addition to the book, there's also a documentary called Aryan's Big Year that you can check out online. And Aryan, you just became a new father recently
Yeah,
too, so congratulations.
thanks a lot.
Um,
That's because that's why I have all the baby cards in the back, and also my newborn. Her name is Mara, by the way, named after the Masai Mara, one of the places I visited during Big Year. But she's sleeping here in the same room, and hopefully she'll remain quiet. But if you hear some weird squeaky sound, it's not some rare bird, but it's my daughter.
I
So
feel like the question on everyone's mind is, are you already going to start training her to be a birder or to potentially break your global record someday?
that is a really funny question. Since literally an hour ago, I was trying to keep her quiet by playing the song of Blythe's reed warbler, one of my favorite birds to look for in spring. And
Did it work?
it kind of works, but then when she became active again, and then I tried a European nightjar, which is of course more of a like monotonous brrr kind of sound, and that actually worked. So Maya found like the key to the kingdom there.
Later on, she's gonna hear it out in the field and be like, "Dad, that's the song from my dreams."
Yeah, exactly. That's been haunting me from my childhood. Yeah. Or she got if I press too hard, she's probably really gonna despise bird watching. So I have to be careful.
So first of all, just like the incredible planning that went into your big year. Um, a lot of people wanted to know, like, how did you finance the whole thing and plan it out? Like, did how much effort did that take? I imagine it was quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, it was so I'm always when it comes to big projects, I sort of jump in like a headless chicken. That helped a lot. But of course, yeah. So when I like originally my plan for big year was a bit different than like the way I executed it finally. So first I had plans to break like 4,500 species. Like that was the current record in 2014. But then your fellow countryman Noah decided to do his big year 1 year prior to my big year. And then he pushed like the bar all the way, or raised the bar to 6,042 species. And already when he like started and I saw his itinerary, I knew he was gonna see a lot of birds and maybe hit 6,000. And before that, so my original plan was to do a lot of hitchhiking. Like that's how I used to travel a lot. You know, before my big year, I was hitchhiking on rooftops of trucks across the east slope of the Andes. When I was 15, I was already backpacking in Turkey looking for Caspian snowcocks, and that's how I used to travel. So that was my original plan, and then it would have been quite cheap. But then I decided, well, I'm gonna like really go for a huge record, and so a lot of planning became involved. You know, I had to in those, let's say, 1.5 to 2 years of planning, I sent maybe over 1,000 emails to guides, to lodges, to birding companies all around the world if they would be able to host me during my travels. Also, I tried to find sponsors because I was a bartender at that moment. I just finished my university. I was studying archaeology, and I was a bartender in Amsterdam. So it was not like the financial basis that you need for a year of travel. But you know, back then I was already on Dutch television quite often, and that helped a lot to get some sponsors on board, like Swarovski Optic, but also Canon, and like a law firm where some birdwatcher was a partner, and like a coffee company, and like I've got like 20 different sponsors, and I already saved money for a trip like this for years. And in addition to that, I could borrow some cash from my parents. So yeah, that's how I financed the whole thing. And in the end, it cost about $65,000 in total, including all the flights. So I think that's cheaper than when you do a U.S. continent or a North America continental big year, or 48 lower 48 big year.
Yeah, I'm surprised how low that was. You must have done a good job finding sponsors and everything.
Yeah. If like my friends always say that I can wrap a turd in tinfoil and I can sell it to you if, if you need it.
Was there a moment before you decide, like, was there a moment you said, okay, I'm gonna do the global big year? Like, was there a decisive time?
Yeah. That was a long time ago when I was, I think, 19. And I was back then I was hitchhiking in. I was when I finished high school. I went on a birding trip for half a year in Southeast Asia and South America, and well, at some point I ended up in Peru, and for like 4 months I hitchhiked to every corner of Peru, and at some point I already observed more than 2,000 species that year, and that was in just 6 months. So I thought, well, that's already nearly. Back then it was just James Clemens' record, so I thought, well, that should be doable. And it's one day I want to do a really really big year. So it was already in the back of my mind. But then I went to university, and it like after only like 10 years later, I really decided now I'm really gonna go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, and do you feel like it helped you or hurt you having Noah do the big year,
No,
the
it
year right
helped.
before? It helped a
No,
lot.
it helped. Yeah, like big shout out to him. Like he was the original, like the before Noah did a big year. It was more of a big, not with disrespect to the other big year people who did a big year, but it was less intense. It was less of almost like the big years that Noah did and I did was more like a top sport in that
Hmm.
sense, where you go for it every day, 24/7, no rest, sponsors, carbon offsetting. Well, I also did a fundraiser, a lot of promo, and like really intensive birding. Like it was kind of crazy. Like I had friends that traveled with me, and then we did, for instance, like all the endemics in Jamaica in less than 2 days, or everything on Sri Lanka in 3 days, or Palawan in 2 days, or like it was kind of hectic schedule. And I had like friends of mine who joined me in Costa Rica, and during actually the day that I set the record, well, we picked them up from the airport at 2 in the morning, and we finished the day at like 1 in the morning the next day. They said, well, till this day, this was the most tiresome day of my entire life. And you did that for an entire year. Yeah. So Noah, he like set the bar for me. And also with any big record, you need a big record before you to raise the bar. So, and I also studied his route. I looked at, well, the mistakes he made, and well, I perfected his route basically and made some adjustments, and I really looked at the migration as well. So I'm a little bit different to his big year. I really tried to get as many northern birds on their wintering grounds further south, so to maximize like my time. Yeah. So
So
that's
talking about, sorry to cut you off. So talking about
worries.
birding like every single day. So we watched the documentary and I made a comment that in the documentary, you always look so happy and excited to be out there. But I know
Yeah.
there must have been a lot of times when it was super draining and you woke up and just did not feel like birding that day. How often did that happen? And how did you combat that to make sure you kept going even when you didn't feel like it?
Well, it sounds weird, but it rarely happened. Like, I do nothing. I like nothing more than bird watching. For me, it's an addiction. It's my greatest passion. And even after finishing my big year, like one of the first things I did after, of course, going to a bar with with my friends was I mean, I went birding again, and every like if I don't go birding for a couple of days, if it's rainy, I'm always almost become itchy. You know, it's something I need. It is like a something I crave. It's almost like a yeah, I cannot do without it. And during my big year, you know, every day I was at these amazing places around the world, you know, and I knew, you know, uh, if I go out today, you know, I might see this amazing lifer that I've been dreaming of seeing my whole life. And you know, because I was for such a short amount of time at all these places, every day I could see something entirely new. So I never grew tired of birding. And I had a lot of friends and really fanatical birders that joined me during my big year. And so every time there was new energy, you know, for them it was their holiday and they want to maximize the score and see everything. And, you know, and then even if I was tired, you know, I had their positive energy to get me back on track. Yeah. And I never actually maybe no, not once in the whole year I was fed up with birding. Maybe fed up with all the traveling, but not birding. You know, that's what I love to do and still love to do.
Yeah, do you think that your record will ever be broken? And if somebody broke it, would you do it again to then break that record?
I, to start with your second question, I will never do it again. It was the adventure of a lifetime and a childhood dream, and I enjoyed every step of the way. It was a roller coaster ride that I enjoyed a lot. But you know, I now have a family. I don't like traveling as much anymore. Also, you know, I have quite a huge carbon footprint, and even though I offset it part like the majority of that footprint, and I did this fundraiser, I still I have a different mindset to traveling than I had when I was doing my big year. So no, I wouldn't do it again. And then the question, do I think it will be broken? Well, not to be arrogant, but I think it will be difficult, you know, because I didn't get sick for a single day. I had a leap year, so I had an extra day. I There were no problems with flights for an entire year.
That's crazy.
No wars that broke out. No guides that got well. One friend of mine, Dusan Brinkhuis in Ecuador, he broke his leg, so I had to made some adjustments in the schedule there. Um, but well, there were basically most of the year it went pretty well, and maybe I could have spent a little less time in East Africa and a little more time in maybe the top end of Australia or in the Indonesian archipelago, or maybe I should have included the east coast of China or Sichuan. But still, you know, I like birded all day and even most of the nights as well. And I didn't get sick, so it will be very hard to break the record. But maybe there's ambitious kid listening to this interview, and maybe you guys one day.
I don't think so. But I was curious with all the different places that you went to. So many of them looked and sounded absolutely amazing. What were
Mhm.
some of the ones that stood out to you the most, where you were just really taken in by the beauty of the place or just how interesting it was?
Yeah, it was almost every day, you know, because it's also when doing a big year, you're in a different scenery almost every day. Like one day you're in the desert, the next day you're in the tropical rainforest, and then you're on the Patagonian steppes, and so it's also like you can really see how diverse the world is. But of course, some places stood out, like birding in the lowlands of Papua New Guinea when you feel like you traveled into a Jurassic Park movie with all these giant bats or flying foxes in the air, and then displaying birds of paradise in the canopy, and um, yeah, it was completely mental. But I really what I like the like the high mountains of the Drakensberg in South Africa. the Himalayas, and of course, from a birding perspective, I really like the Andes, and especially east slope of the Andes is just crazy beautiful, and also from a birding perspective, is just absolutely mental. Every altitude, different species, and yeah, I really like that.
So I do have to ask a little bit about the United States
Yeah.
because you spend a lot of time everywhere else and very little time comparatively in the United States. So we got to set the record straight on why that was. Was it just
Yeah.
that you got a lot of those species elsewhere,
Yeah.
or was there just other priorities?
No disrespect to the US, because that's where I need to sell my book. Ah, you're a fantastic guy.
Go into sales mode. We need to hear the pitch
But
about why the US should want it.
to be honest, Mexico is just a little better, and that's where I spent about 3 weeks. And I got a lot of US stuff in Mexico, and also because it was late autumn, a lot of stuff, a lot of migrants I got further south. So I got almost all the American warblers except maybe Kirtlands and I think Connecticut warbler and Swayzon's warbler. Those were the only warblers I missed because I all got them on the wintering grounds. And then, the northern species are shared, or quite a few of them are shared with Europe. So I get some of them in the Netherlands. And many birds that occur in the US also occur just over the border in Mexico. And I did quite some extensive birding in northern Mexico. So I could see the majority of the US species in just a couple of strategic stops in a couple of days. Yeah.
That's kind of what I suspected just based on the migratory path of a lot of them. But what I am hearing is that you may need to come back to the United States and maybe hit up the Midwest and finish some unfinished business with a Kirtland warbler is what I'm hearing.
And that's when you guys are gonna take me there, or is that?
Exactly. Yeah, you read my mind there. We got to have you come out here back to the
I
United
will.
States.
I will one day. I'm looking forward. And so actually, in August, I will come to the US to promote my book. I will go to the Arizona Birding Festival and there I hope to see one of my most wanted US species, the Montezuma quail. I think they
Mm.
renamed it though, but yeah, that's a bird I really want to see, and hopefully like an Aztec thrush or an eared quetzal that drops by when I'm there. But yeah, still have some US birds to come back for. So yeah, you will see me in the future.
Awesome. With going to so many new places and like seeing so many different species and habitats, like how many of those birds were birds you were seeing for the first time? Like did you go out and you're just like you heard a bunch of stuff, then it's like let's look in the bird book and see, or did you study it enough where you knew, oh, that's this bird, that's this bird?
Yeah, no, I've like what helped a lot is that I had quite some experience birding abroad. So I did quite a lot of birding already in East Africa and Southern Africa. So of the African fauna I know really well, and also like especially of the more generalist species I know I know the sounds pretty well. Of course Europe I know everything. I knew already almost everything, and I did already do a lot of birding in Malaysia. I did some birding in Australia, New Zealand, and of course extensive birding in Suriname and Peru, and Costa Rica. So I had a good sense of, especially when I looked at the bird, I knew that's this family or this genus, and like there are only a couple of species that are possible now. But that said, of course, also with a big year, you need a guide every step of the way. So only one morning in the Dominican Republic, I was not with another like really experienced birder or one of the best local guides in the country. So of course, that local knowledge is vital when doing a big year, because you can simply not spend a week at a place and like really work the slopes of a mountain and then when you don't know exactly where you're looking for, local guide knows exactly in that bend of the trail, that is where this incredibly rare end bird will be calling, hopefully at this time of the morning. So that local knowledge was vital. So big shout out to all the guides all around the world who are not only helped me during my big year, but they're also advocates for conservation in these places. You know, they make sure that these birds that we want come to see are actually hopefully still there in the future. So
Yeah, big theme of the book was the adventure, but also like the conservation. It was kind of sad because you'd go to a place, be like, "There's all these cool birds," but this just got like this forest got taken down, or like there was all that kind
yeah,
of aspect to it. And I know a lot of people kind of they want to help with that, but they don't really know how. So,
yeah.
what are some ways that people can help with those conservation
Yeah.
efforts?
Well, let's start with a little bit of a paradox. So, like traveling, of course, and is not good, you would say, because of the CO2 emissions. But I think it's really vital that people keep on going to these, critically endangered ecosystems. If there were no birders visiting, the forests of Madagascar or the Atlantic rainforest in Brazil or the east slopes of the Andes in Colombia or Peru, those places would be gone, you know, and all those species would be gone. So, from a more short-term perspective, I think it's really important that people visit these places. It also shows to governments that it is essential that they safeguard these places for the future, because in the long term, from a long term perspective, it's also has some economic value. So my first tip is like not like what I did for 40 countries in 1 year, but do sometimes go to these places and then travel responsible. You know, offset your footprint. Go to visit fantastic eco lodges, like for instance Amazonian cloud forest conservation in Peru. Well, you can stay at a fantastic lodge, but also you really help to conserve the habitat that you're visiting and the species that you're looking for. So that is one tip. And also, of course, donate to BirdLife, donate to IUCN. Get your friends enthusiastic for birding. That is also really something. Show, because all starts with like people appreciating the birds in their back garden, and don't take them for granted. You know, show how wonderful birds are, and how essential they are, not just for themselves, but for our future as well. Yeah.
And does a portion of the proceeds from the book go to conservation as well?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people can help by buying the book as well.
Yeah. So it goes to the BirdLife Preventing Extinctions program. So a small amount already for my from the revenue from my the Dutch version of my book, because the Dutch version of my book has been out since 2018. And I donated 5% of all my profit to the BirdLife Preventing Extinctions program. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I will do the same with this book. So with translation. So the more people
Definitely
buy
good
the
to
book,
know.
yeah.
There's a
So
lot
it's
of
a cool
interesting
read,
stuff in
but
here too.
also you help conservation. Yeah.
So I do want to go back to the birds for a little bit because we had a lot of questions. These are going to be very difficult to answer questions because they're
Mm-hmm.
things like, what was your favorite bird you saw on your whole trip out of all of them? And
I
then
thought you
what's
were
the
gonna
one you
go
most
with.
want to see next?
I thought you were gonna test me with a couple of sounds from Tapaculos.
No, we trust you. We trust you. I wouldn't dream of challenging the
Okay,
guy holding the
what's
record
the
for the
bullet
global big
there?
year. No, it's hard when people say, "What's your favorite bird?" Because it's like there's so
Uh,
many things that you could take into account there. But they
okay.
wanted to know what your favorite one you saw was, and then which one
Okay.
you want to see next.
Okay, I will try to be original, because of course you have the usual suspects, because I did many interviews about my big year, and birds that immediately pop up are species like horned guan in Guatemala, white-necked picotartes in Ghana, a Philippine eagle in the Philippines, harpy eagle, birds like that. King of Saxony, bird of paradise displaying in the canopy. That is fantastic. But like, let's talk about a group of birds that I really enjoyed. So, growing up here in the Netherlands, migration is everything. You know, we have the seasons change dramatically in the Netherlands, and like I enjoy nothing more than a good morning with a big fallout of birds, or like crazy good passerine migration with hundreds of thousands of birds passing by in the morning. So what I really enjoyed were the migratory birds. Like it almost felt like seeing this old friend that I knew from home. And when I was, let's say, I was in the highlands of Ethiopia, I was birding in the Bale Mountains, and it was this barren landscape, like no trees whatsoever. And I saw like a couple of birds approaching, like over these 4,000-meter highlands, and what's this? I recognized them from home. Were a couple of golden orioles migrating north, like driven by instinct. Like those kind of moments, yeah, were just amazing. Or these huge kettles of raptors migrating south over Panama or north over Eilat in Israel. Yeah, those were really special moments.
That reminds me of the part in the documentary with the European robin, where you said it was the one you heard first to start your trip, and then
Yeah,
you were listening to it again, and you were like, "Oh yeah, that's great! Like that's such a full circle type of thing." And it's
yeah,
crazy how birds can like really be intertwined into your life and be meaningful in that way.
yeah. It is. It is true. I always like people, my non-birding friends, and they always say, "Oh, why birds?" And I say, "What if there were no birds? You know, if you would have this barbecue in spring, and there was not a blackbird singing from your chimney, I think it would be eerie silent. You know, you would feel uncomfortable. Bird sounds really give color and pleasure to our lives. You know, without birds, we would be nowhere. I think, yeah, and only when they're gone you will notice it. So that is an extra reason to really try to safeguard these birds for future generations.
And then, kind of in that same vein, what's the bird that you want to see most next? What's the next life bird that you want to get?
Good question. Yeah, there are so many.
Though there's still
Let's
so
keep it.
many, even after the big year. You got a
Yeah, of
lot left
course.
to
Yeah,
go.
I've let's say I've about 7,300 species seen on my that I actually saw during my. So I don't count herd birds for my life list, and I've about in total, including herd birds, herd onlys, like 7,500 species or something. And you know there are 10,900 in the world, so there are a lot of birds still around. And you know, I would love, maybe it will never happen, but I would love one day to maybe see an emperor penguin on its colony. That would be amazing. Or like a bird that I only heard during my big year, the black sicklebill, the biggest of the birds of paradise. Yeah, I would love to see it. But like the most accessible thing that I would love most is to self-find an American warbler or a new bird for the Netherlands in the Netherlands. Now, I've been trying really hard. So on May 1st, 2002, I found the Cassiar Junco in the Netherlands, which was new for the Western Palearctic. But, you know, it's not a Parulidae. It's not an American warbler, but still was pretty great. Like, that would be amazing. Find a black and white warbler or a blackpoll warbler on one of the Wadden Islands in the Netherlands. I would love that. Yeah.
We'll make you a trade. You give us some of the birds from Netherlands, for us to find. We'll ship you some warblers over.
Which one should I send over?
I like how quick you're like, that's a deal. Just let me know which one you want.
I think you'll like a wood warbler. That's a
Oh
great.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
have a lot of fun with that.
wood warbler on the east coast somewhere, not on the far western Alaska islands. Yeah,
Yes, that would be appreciated.
I
So
will, I
just
will, I
just
will make some calls.
just to clarify, on your big year, you did count herd only birds.
Yes,
But on
yes.
your personal life list, then going forward, you don't count those herd only birds.
Well, now I'm sort of, since I was in last year I was in Oman, and I because now I became more and more fanatic with sound recording birds.
Mhm.
I've this thing. One second. Like a parabolic
Hmm,
mic. Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah, that I really like recording bird sounds with. And for instance, I made a recording and I only heard Omani owl. And you know, that's just, it was some high on the cliff face and I could not see it. And that bird got me thinking, and maybe I'm gonna, because it's a personal list, maybe I'm gonna include some herd onlys, but you know, some tyrannulet in the Atlantic rainforest that I only heard no, I'm not gonna count it because I already forgot how it sounded like. But let's be fair. But a bird like Omani owl or that black sicklebill in PNG, I can remember vividly how it sounds like. So yeah, and about the herd only thing. So Noah, he also counted herd only birds, and I think he had like 340 something birds that he heard only. I had about 240 birds that I heard only. So actually, I'm the only person in the world who observed, who actually saw more than 6,000 species in a year.
That's good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
I like that you're ready with that fact too. Like just
Yeah,
in
I have
case you
that ready.
So the Pickathardies, that was your David Attenborough experience, right?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Tell us a little bit more about that with like, because you said going in, you were like, we should see these, but you never know what could happen.
It was a big moment for me because the Pickathardies was the bird that launched my hero David Attenborough's big career into the limelight. Because those images, black and white images of him talking about the Pickathardies in Sierra Leone in I think the early 60s, went all over the world, and that launched his career. And there I was 65 years later, also with a camera crew, not in Sierra Leone, but in Ghana, looking for this bird. And it really felt like I was stepping into my hero's footsteps, looking for this Pickathardies. And then eventually we saw it crazy well in the documentary. I think it's in the documentary, the images that we have of Pickathardies are one of the best ever taken in the wild. So yeah, it was this monumental experience for me.
Yeah, those were incredible images and videos that you guys captured there. I also want to talk about one of your biggest misses. I don't know if this was it, but missing Maria, the giant ant pitta, the one that seemed like it's basically for people that don't know, somebody had the ant pitta trained to eat like out of your hand. So it seems like it should be a slam dunk. And then to have
I was feeling so it felt like was gonna be a slam dunk. So I was staying with Dusan Brinkhuis, a friend of mine who guides for rock jumper tours in Quito, and I was staying at his house, and we were checking a Facebook page of Angel Paz, the guy who owns the place. And he had a whole busload of Japanese photographers that came in the day prior to my visit. And they had image filling hundreds of photographs of Maria, the giant ant pitta. So it was a great, beautiful day, no wind, no rain. I had Angel Paz all for myself, was the only person visiting that day. And so went over to the first site. He started calling. So he literally says, Maria, venga, 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 venga. And then we waited. So I thought, well, any moment now, Maria's going to pop out. And that's it. And well, no Maria. Hour later, another site, no Maria. Tried somewhere else, no Maria. And eventually I had to go because I was on a tight schedule. At 11 a.m., I had to call it a day and I had to move on. And I was literally crying. I had to hugging Angel. Oh, we missed it. This is the worst day of my entire big year. Why did I miss it? I'm a terrible birder. And yeah, but that's the cool thing, that's they're still birds, wild animals, and they decide when they want to show themselves to you. And those big misses make the big ticks when you actually see the bird, the better, for a fanatic birder, you need to sometimes really miss birds. It's also with self-finding. Those weeks on the Wadden Islands, not seeing anything rare, and then finally finding that mega bird from Siberia or North America. It's like a cork in a bottle that you take off, and then all the adrenaline flows out.
Yeah, that's actually a great metaphor for what you actually did when you got the record for the big year too. I think it was Costa Rica, right?
Yeah.
You were in the middle of the forest. It looked like popping some champagne and having a cigar or something. How good did that feel? Did that feel like the culmination of your big year, relief after that? Or was it that's great, but let's keep going?
A little bit of both, because we were on a hectic day in a tight schedule, but it was an amazing moment because I had 3 non-birder friends of mine, 3 of my best friends in the world, who were on holiday in Costa Rica, and secretly they had arranged with Peter Westra from Aratinga Tours, who arranged the trip for me. By the way, really fantastic guide and fantastic organization. So if you ever go to Costa Rica, contact him. But well, they arranged to come along for the ride for one day, and they had trained. So they had like bird books of Costa Rica. They had asked my girlfriend which books they would, because she's also a birder. They had asked which book they needed. They had bought the binoculars, and then they were there at 2 a.m. in the morning, picked them up from as a surprise from their hotel, and they were there crazy. It was just crazy luck. They were actually there when I broke the record, and then Harry, one of my friends, he brought a bottle of champagne with him in the rainforest, and indeed a box of cigars. And then I could quote I talked about David Attenborough, but another, of course, inspiration for me is Hannibal from the A-Team. So I could say I love it when a plan comes together with that cigar. Yeah. It was quite an experience. And the same day we saw resplendent quetzal and unspotted saw-whet owl, two of the best birds in Central America. So it was a really great day.
Yeah, that's incredible. You mentioned being on a tight schedule, and a lot of the times you were in these incredible places looking at the super rare bird, and then you had to leave. It's like, we saw this, now I got to go do this. Which moment from your big year do you wish you could go back to and enjoy for a longer amount of time?
Yeah, of course, every moment, every place. I would like, for instance, maybe the place you asked me earlier, like the best place that you enjoyed most. The place I enjoyed most of the entire year was actually Sani Lodge in Ecuador. It was just crazy beautiful. This pristine Oxbow Lake and this fantastic rainforest. I really felt almost like heartbroken that I had to leave after. Well, it's almost the longest amount of time that I spent at a single place during my big year, 4 nights there. But I would love to come back and spend 2 weeks there and look for those last remaining really super rare birds that I missed. That was a place I would, if they're listening, they invite me to come along and spend a couple of weeks there with my daughter and my girlfriend, count me in. I will do some promo for you guys. we can take care of that.
How has your life changed since doing the big year? Because I know you said before you were a bartender. I'm assuming you're not a bartender anymore.
No. So that changed dramatically. So I was already quite often on television talking about birds here in the Netherlands. But now I'm a full-time birder basically in the Netherlands. So every week I'm on one of the biggest radio shows talking about birds. I have the biggest nature podcast in the Netherlands, the Vogels podcast, where I train a non-birder friend of mine how to become a birder, and we mess with each other all the time. And that's already more than 50 episodes in. So and actually we plan maybe to take that show to the US one day and do it in English. So that, and I can really make a living of birding. I do morning tours in the dunes. I have the big advantage that birding became one of the biggest hobbies in the Netherlands during Corona. So suddenly everyone is birding, and I can guide, I can write books, can do whatever I want as long as it's birding, I can make a living of that. And actually, not only me, but also my girlfriend. She's a famous birder in the Netherlands. She's actually a host on a television show about lifestyle and nature, and she has a bird watching item. So also all thanks, or partly thanks to my big year, because that was also part of the reason why birding caught momentum before Corona hit, and then during Corona it propelled into the stratosphere, and now everybody's birding here in the Netherlands.
That's awesome. It sounds like that's the dream for you too. It sounds like you're literally living out your dream.
I am, yeah, and I really like. so my big year was all about numbers and getting as many birds as possible. And after my big year, because I did this big year and writing this book, for instance, and really getting more and more engaged in conservation and ecology. My girlfriend, she's an ecologist, so she also like I learned a lot from her. And it made me appreciate birding more and more. And I really like it. It also gave depth to my hobby. That's also a thing. And right now I actually I like the biggest example is that I'm currently writing a children's book about a great bittern. like like yeah, like that shows how much pleasure I can have of birding and everything that surrounds birding. It's just the best hobby in the world. Yeah.
So I want to ask why, because I agree with you, of course, because we're birders. I think it's an amazing hobby. It's a crazy hobby, which makes it even better. Why
Yeah.
do you think it's the best hobby in the world?
Well, of course, you're outside, you're watching these amazing creatures that travel all over the world. Birds symbolize freedom, sometimes the freedom that we cannot find as humans, the unlimited freedom. So maybe we envy them a bit. So that's part of it. And then, of course, for me, like being a fanatic birder and trying to like sell found birds, like you chase this. It sounds it's like a nerdy version of chasing maybe doing base jumping or something. You change a similar kind of rush. It sounds weird, but once you've tasted from finding a mega rare bird on this windswept island or seeing this really critically endangered bird of paradise somewhere in Papua New Guinea, like that rush of an adrenaline that comes with the experience is just addictive. And that's from one perspective, but it also, I can be out birding an entire morning in the dunes of near Amsterdam, and then 4 hours later, I think I'm thinking to myself, maybe I was out for like birding for half an hour, and then it's 4 hours later, and you can really also it's almost like sometimes a bit like meditation maybe. Like you have people soul searching all their lives, like meditating and trying to come in peace with who they are. And I think as birders, you already experience that through birding. That's what also birding is to me. Yeah, it's also like I already found my biggest passion and what I like to do most. Yeah, and I think you guys do.
Yeah, we hope to someday be able to do what you do and do it as a full-time thing. Hopefully someday we can come back and discuss how we are both doing birding full-time for our careers.
Well, I think it's also becoming well. A big change as well is how birding is done. It's becoming more interesting for also for young people, for kids, because you have sound recording, cameras. You can find all this fantastic information on the internet. You can actually count birds on your in eBird, for instance, or here in the Netherlands we have observation. So it becomes more of an exciting hobby also for young people to do. So and it's just I think it will can catch the same momentum in the US, but it will take some time. But it's already becoming more popular in the US, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like not to the degree maybe it is in the Netherlands, but definitely during like COVID, more people got out and birded, and I think it is gaining steam. But I feel like you guys may be a little bit ahead of where we're at the moment.
What you need is you already had Noah, of course, but you need another guy to do a big year and then
Right,
promote
let's
thing,
do it,
all
and then we
guys
can
with that.
bring the momentum here.
You
yeah,
need,
I
you need
guess
this
we have
crazy
to do it.
guy to do a big year, and that's
I always ask people we talk to with young people getting into birding, what's your biggest advice for young people who are just kind of learning about birds?
yeah. My biggest advice would be to start close to home. That sounds pretty weird from a guy who traveled to 40 countries in 1 year, but start close to home because like you can really appreciate birding, and also the how to appreciate yourself becoming better at birding by starting close to home. So once you have a really good local patch, like work that local patch every day, really start recognizing all the calls, and at some point you will recognize when something odd is calling, or when you see something that looks a little bit different than the usual bird you see. And that is how you really pick up skill. And my other advice is start young. Because only if you start really young with birding, you will really know how to recognize contact calls and all these chip notes. And you need to start young. And my biggest advice is just enjoy it every step of the way. You know, it's a fantastic hobby, and just enjoy being outside, watching these wonderful creatures, and appreciate them. And because that also sounds weird from a guy that did a big year, but also sometimes stand still at a normal, ordinary bird and just look at it for quite some time through your binoculars and really appreciate like all the complex patterns in its feathers and its plumage. That's also big advice. And what I used to do when I was a little kid, I only had a camera when I started doing my big year. Now I have a 400 millimeter and I photograph everything that moves. But before that, I did sketching, and that's also how you really learn to look at the details. Yeah, maybe do some sketching. Yeah.
I like
Awesome.
it.
I think that settles it. I think that you have to come here and bird with us, and then we have to go there and bird with you. I don't see any
Yeah.
other way around it. Got to get
I'll
my
show you
book signed.
red-breasted goose.
Thank you. I would
Sounds
appreciate
great.
Bearded
that.
Riedling. We can look for bearded Riedling, red-breasted goose, black woodpecker. I know exactly what you Americans are looking for. Smew.
Yeah, you do
I've guided
exactly.
quite a few Americans here in the Netherlands, and it's always black woodpecker, smew, bearded Riedling, and red-breasted goose. Now we can
we
take care of that.
we've never done any birding over there, so like even like European robin, we'd be like, oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Yeah, you'll see some excitement over some common species.
Yeah, but we're gonna do it fast-paced, big year style.
Oh,
So
okay,
we
perfect.
need to do the whole Netherlands in 1.5 days. Otherwise, it doesn't count. Joking.
Perfect.
Can
You
start
guys are
in.
very well about birding.
Yeah,
That
that'd be
understands.
awesome. We'd love to do that. We talked a lot about like different moments from your big year. You seem pretty chill about like, you mentioned you'd be like hitchhiking and all this stuff, but did you have like a scary moment where you were like near death
Uh,
or thought you were gonna get kidnapped or anything
yeah.
like that?
I thought we were gonna get killed or kidnapped in PNG, Papua New Guinea, Mount Hagen. Our ride to the Kumo Lodge was not there, so we had to arrange our own ride up there. And then so there was this lady who said, "Yeah, we can take care of that. I have this my husband will take you up there." So this husband was a really sketchy guy. His truck looked like something that the A-Team built, like with bars in the window, and there was this guy chewing betel nuts with arms as big as my head, and like upper arms as big as my head. And then he had this really sketchy friend of him with it, like that joined him, and we were sitting in this car, no idea where we were going, and they were talking in a pidgin dialect with each other, and the only words we could pick up were like now and then bags and money. So
Oh,
we, this is not going well. So what I did is I tried to be more cool than I actually am. So like showing my scar on my arm that I actually it was like I slipped when I was drunk in a bar and I broke my arm. But yeah, that was from when I did kickboxing, and then Max, my friend, also said, "Yeah, we're doing kickboxing all the time." And then you're playing this. I said, let's play some of our music. So we had like moments later, we were listening to Still Dre, like pumping through the subwoofer of the car, and then so we tried to get some respect there, and then in the end, we made it to the lodge. But then they stopped the car just before we arrived at the lodge, and they said, "Okay, guys, we know now where you stay, so you're gonna have to pay us more, or we'll come back with a couple of friends tonight." So in the end, they were sketchy, and we were ripped
Wow.
off. Yeah, yeah. But I didn't end up dead in a ditch, and we still got all our luggage, and we arrived. Next day I saw ribbon-tailed Ostrapia, bird with the longest tail in the world. So all was well then.
So that's a net win. That's a win.
Yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, it was one moment. So I was sort of sick one day. I ate something wrong in India, and so I had like a food poisoning. But again, somehow also it was the biggest luck in the world, because that day we were burning from a rickshaw. It's like a three-wheeled bicycle, and we were burning Keoladeo National Park. So I was like sick in the rickshaw, like puking from the back. And then while puking from the back, I saw these two birds landing on top of a tree, and were two white-bellied minivets, which is this crazy rare bird that's only seen there once a year. So yeah, thanks to me being like sick with all these birds. So always, that's also really important when doing big year. You have to remain positive and enjoy every step of the way. And as soon as you are like, oh, why am I doing this? And I'm not feeling well. And I have to like travel for a whole year. And you have to think, oh, I'm traveling for a whole year, seeing all these amazing birds. And okay, screw it, I'm sick for one day, but I will be get better, and I just gonna enjoy every step of the way. Yeah, that
That
was
might
my attitude that year.
that might be one of the biggest hardcore burning stories I've heard, is puking and then being like, look at that. Like
Uh,
just back to back.
And
read
where
that.
can people pick up your book if they want a copy of it? Where's the best place to buy it?
Well, they can order it from Amazon. Yeah, I think that's and any from May 4th it will be in bookstores in the US and in the UK. So yeah, or from Chelsea Green, my publisher. I think they can order it there. Yeah. And I think
Wonderful.
that you guys have some win-win X like
Yeah,
gonna
we have some extra copies. We'll be doing some kind of giveaway or prize along with that.
it will be a
I,
sound of a tapaculo, and you need to identify it, right? And then I will be the judge.
well, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us, Arian.
Yeah, it was a
Um,
pleasure. I really enjoyed like I've also had that's also something I really like, not take myself too serious, have a laugh, and well, you did both, so
Good. We succeeded. We really appreciate your time as an amazing accomplishment. We're happy that you decided to come on our program to talk about your book. Um,
welcome
we
guys.
got a couple copies. We'll be doing a giveaway like Derek mentioned already. So be on the lookout for that. And if you want to buy it, Amazon, great place to do it. And yeah, you're helping out conservation.
Yeah, you do. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.